Hey, Mortgage Coach community, to Dave Savage here, and today I'm interviewing Jonathan McKinnies. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. So it seems like it's just been weeks, but I know it's been months since I was on site with you in South Bend, Indiana. I think we did an interview shortly after that, and you were using Mortgage Coach, but you weren't using it with everybody at that point. And
Right.
and you've really leveled up now. Every single family is getting a total cost analysis, and I wanna tell that story. So let's kick things off for anyone that missed the last call. I'm going to put a link below to my last interview with Jonathan. This conversation isn't going to be so much around ideas and strategies, on how to use Mortgage Coach. It's just going to be on like your journey. You just started using it this year, and your journey as a team leader and how you implemented Mortgage Coach. So let's start with tell everybody a little bit about your practice so they know what kind of volume you do, they understand how many people on your team, and then let's get into how you implemented Mortgage Coach.
Yeah, we're in the Midwest, so South Bend, Indiana. We've got average loan amounts that are, generally speaking, in that 140, 150 range. So our average loan amounts are pretty low. We do quite a few units. We're shooting for probably around 230 units or so this year, and mainly purchase business. We do have a lot of refi as well with Mortgage Coach helping me with that. So that's been helping with some of the annual loan reviews. With regard to how my team is structured, I'm team lead. I've got a couple production partners that are licensed, and they'll take loan applications, prepare TCAs for me. And then I've got a transaction manager that helps with the once I get a contract from the real estate agent, then at that point she steps in and she helps get it to the closing table, along with our processing staff, which is totally separate from my team. But basically a team of mainly 4 main people that are actually a part of the transaction.
Got it. And you're helping 230 families. So that's one thing that comes up is people, and I've never asked someone who's done over 100 total cost analysis or even over 20 total cost analysis, does it take more time? Top producers always say it saves time. But for anyone on this call, I mean, does it save you time in terms of preparing pre-approval options or purchase options?
It does. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Before I was sold on Mortgage Coach, so, a year ago is when we first started getting introduced to Mortgage Coach, and I had my systems and I had my routines and I had a certain way of doing things. And at that time, it's hard because you feel like you've got your team flowing really well and you've got your structure in place. But once you realize that you can add so much more value with the total cost analysis, you have to slow down a little bit to learn it and learn the flow, learn your scripting a little bit. But for me, it saves time now because you'll have a lot of inquisitive borrowers where you just cannot give them one loan option. And when you're giving them multiple loan options, if you're doing it through your normal system, your LOS system, it's very difficult. Then you have to restructure it, print off a new worksheet, restructure it, print off a new worksheet. With the TCA, you're putting in one loan option within your system, your LOS system, and then you can make multiple variations to that on your TCA as opposed to continuing to manipulate all the numbers within your LOS system. And so for me, that was a huge deal because I'm not having to keep restructuring my information in Encompass as opposed to just going into the TCA and making my changes there and then giving the transparent information to the client. And for me, it really sets me apart. And so and then it does. It's really slow. Sped things up as opposed to slowing things down with having to restructure everything within your LOS system.
How long do you think it takes you or someone on your team when you're creating the total cost analysis? By the way, everybody, when Jonathan says TCA, total cost analysis, but how much time is it taking you to prepare one?
I would say it takes just minutes, just a few minutes. It doesn't take long at all. Yeah, because I've got a couple templates set up, and most of the time you're using very similar templates, making a couple tweaks to maybe a couple of the costs, or if you're doing some lender credits, things like that, but very easy to change.
And by the way, everyone, I'm going to put a couple links to the John Downs interview, where how did John implement Mortgage Coach? Also an interview, it was 45 days into his implementation. So I'm going to put a few links down below because they will help you get started faster. Now, who creates the total cost analysis? You or your assistant? Who actually creates it?
Actually, that's something where we're working that out a little bit, but we all have been trained enough. So myself, Hannah, and Mary, they're my two production partners. They are skilled enough to be able to put together a TCA for me. So actually, just before I got on this call with you, I've got a client that I'm working with right now that is trying to do a refinance. He was considering buying down the rate or keeping it at a par rate. I didn't have enough time to do that, so I just sent an email to Mary from my team. She's putting together the TCA. I did a quick recording, so I did a video, and so it's ready to go. So once she sends the TCA out for me, then my video will be attached to it and ready to go. But that goes to show you that I will prepare the TCA many times, because a lot of times I'll do the video right along with it. However, I don't need to, because Mary and Hannah know what they're doing. And so I would say it's 50-50, because I'll need them to prepare a few for me, and then I'll go in and make some changes if I need to before a client might meet with me or before we send it out. But for the most part, you don't have to be a long-term loan officer. You don't have to be seasoned in the industry in order for you to prepare a TCA. It's pretty easy to do once you've got your template set up and you know what their goals are, and then you're good to go.
Now, I tell folks usually when you're going through that pain of change, you've never done a total cost analysis, and you're creating your first one. It's like once you get to 10, some people it's 20. They've got it wired. How many was it for you? Like, how many did you need to create before you really felt comfortable creating them?
Yeah, I would say I would be in, just like you said, in that 10 to 20 range. With a team, it's a little different because you're having to make sure that everyone else understands it as well. And so from our standpoint, once I understood it, because I'm the one that needs to understand it, because I'm the one that's pretty much steering the ship on the team. So they need to know that I'm not just in this 50%, because if I'm in at 50%, and even though I may understand it, but I just don't want to change anything up, then they're not going to be in at 100% either. And then our team will never truly flow the way it needs to. And so once I learned it, after my 10 to 20 or so, we had a team meeting, and I said, here is what we're doing. I'm not going to wait until my 2018 planning. We need to implement this right now. I want to make sure that everybody is sending TCAs. You're preparing the TCA. So their goal when I get an application started for a client, it's normally Hannah or Mary that's starting it. It may have taken them 10 to 20 times to understand it as well. So just to answer your question about, that 10 to 20 times. But what they're doing, once I'm the one who's sold on it and I'm saying, we're going to do this. This is a part of our team structure. We had the meeting. We understand what our goals are. We're trying to create TCAs for everybody that we meet with. They will be the first ones that receives that phone call. They'll get the application started. And then their goal, they have two goals. Their goal is to either create the TCA or at least get it structured for me, and also schedule an appointment for me to meet with that client. Now, many LOs, loan officers, they don't meet face-to-face with clients. I try to meet with all of my clients face-to-face in my office. And so they'll create the TCA, we'll get it sent out. They'll try to schedule the appointment for the client to meet with me in person, and then they'll basically re-review the TCA with me in my office, and that's what we're doing. And so it has not been an issue. Once again, 10 to 20 times. Sometimes you have little things you have to learn as you go, but really it's pretty smooth once you have done it a few extra times, more than that 10 times.
How many total hours do you think it took you to get to the point where you did those 10? Like, how long did your first one take? How much total time investment did you have to put into learning to use Mortgage Coach?
Well, I think what's a very valuable resource is going through some of the videos that you have, the Mortgage Coach videos, just some of the tutorials. So I clicked through some of those tutorials and learned it that way. And then what I've done is I've actually connected with some other loan officers that participate with Mortgage Coach, that utilize it. And I asked them, well, how do you structure it? There's a few people that are veterans that's been doing it for a while, and I've asked them to kind of help me through how they structure their TCAs and what's the best practices for them. And so for me, it was a matter of reaching out a little bit, doing a little bit of my own research. And, I would say outside of just preparing a TCA, that first couple TCAs, it's going to take you a couple hours to just click through it. To me, it's learning the software. It's not learning the industry. We know the industry. We know cost. We understand APR. We understand the nuts and bolts of the industry that we're in. It's just learning, like any new software program, you're just learning it because it's new, and that's all. Right. And so for me, it was, a few hours, but then also occasionally I'll just watch a video here and there, like the videos that you post. And it's hard for me to say that it was that hard, because it really isn't. It's pretty easy once you get that software, that mentality down, that you're learning the new software, and it's good to go.
Would you say it was less than 5 hours, like, in terms of total to learn to do it, to get past that 10, more than 5 hours of time?
I would say that 5 hours would be reasonable. Yeah, that's about around how long it took.
So by the way, everyone, and I mentioned this in the John Downs interview, that's how much homework high school students need to do per week. I mean, my son's a sophomore in high school. He doesn't have a week where he has less than 5 hours of homework. So for the same amount of time that a high school student has in homework, you could change the game in how you present options to families, how you deliver prequals. And then in terms of just results, it's helping you convert borrowers. It's helping you get more referrals. Is it helping you get more referrals from realtors? Have you integrated it into your conversation with agents?
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny you asked, because this morning I had a sales meeting at a real estate office, and I have a lunch and learn prepared next Wednesday. Is that the 6th? Wednesday or Thursday? I've got a lunch and learn prepared, and my whole goal is to create the best buyer experience possible. So the heading of my lunch and learn, the heading of my sales meeting was creating the best buyer experience possible. So in the way that I am presenting it is that, hey, your buyer may be working with a pretty good loan officer, and you may be working with somebody that you don't want to rock the boat. You feel like you're comfortable with who they're working with, but are they receiving the best buyer experience possible? Are you presenting the whole experience to them in a way that's going to help them feel better about purchasing a home? Because when you're dealing with a first-time home buyer, especially, or any home buyer for that matter, when you're dealing with them, that first inclination of a buyer is there's confusion, there's questions, I think there's barriers of trust that need to come down, and a lot of buyers they don't know you yet. They don't understand the process. You may have worked with them in the past, but if they've only purchased a home, 5 or 10 years ago, this is a new thing to them. So there's still a lot of confusion. They don't understand everything. And so from the standpoint of a real estate agent, if you're trying to make your experience the very best, a top-notch experience for your client, what's the best way to do that? It's to, number one, you have your own systems in place as a real estate agent. You need to have your own communication touch points. You need to understand when I should be speaking with my clients, what I should be saying, what are some handouts I should be giving them, but also what is going on at the lender's office. What are they doing? What is the experience like with my client? I know that, hey, I got a pre-approval from this guy, but does the client truly feel as though they've been given the very best experience? And so that was pretty much the premise of the lunch and learn that I'm going to have, and then what the sales meeting was this morning. And so I just showed them a total cost analysis. I showed them the assumptions that a lot of buyers make. Sometimes a family member will tell them that, hey, I think you should go with this type of loan because this is what I did, or here's what your brother did when they purchased a home. So mom and dad told them you should go with FHA. Well, I'll show them, here's an FHA, here's a 3% down conventional, here's another conventional option with lender paid closing costs. And I'm showing them the short and long-term benefits of each option. And I showed that to the real estate agents, and they, I believe, are seeing the benefit of the program. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake was I flipped my phone. So I showed them on a big screen, but then I flipped my phone. I said, here's what a buyer sees. And I clicked on the video, and it showed me talking and cross-selling the real estate agent that's the managing broker of the office, and letting them know that here's another way that we set ourselves apart, is that we actually try to have another touch that's not just an email, but there's also a video that goes along with it. So it was really cool. So yeah, I think we're seeing some traction.
I love that. And I've been talking a lot about having level 3 relationships with your realtors. And by the way, everybody, level 1 is where they trust you to keep your promises and close loans on time. You don't have a partnership without being level 1. Level 2 is where they feel like you're going to help them convert buyers. Whether it's a first-time buyer or a move-up buyer, they refer them to you, you convert. And level 3 is where they see you as someone who creates urgency. So as a loan officer that delivers a total cost analysis, it's pretty easy for the realtor to connect the dots that, wow, this loan officer, again, keeps promises, closes on time, actually helps me convert my buyers. And wow, they're actually going to help create urgency so that that buyer is going to pay the price they need to have the offer accepted. That when you can be level 3 partnership, magic happens. So a last thought came up in the John Downs interview. Remember, everybody, there's a link down below to John Downs. He talked about when he was rolling it out, he used his team as accountability partners. He's like, hey, production assistant, I'm going to hold you accountable, and you're going to hold me accountable, and we're going to get this done together. Did you have any accountability partner when you kind of went from I'm not using Mortgage Coach with everyone to I'm using Mortgage Coach for everyone? Was there any intentionality around accountability partnerships with anyone? Does that anything come to mind?
Oh, absolutely. I think we didn't say, hey, you're my accountability partner per se, but what we did is we had our team meeting, and it was a serious team meeting where we sat down. We actually did a training and had a conference call with a mortgage coach representative that kind of helped us together go through it one more time and just kind of trained a little bit. And after that meeting, we had an understanding that we have to utilize this. This is something that we've got to do. And so Mary on my team she used to actually utilize Mortgage Coach many, many years ago.
By the way, Mary, I want to say hi to Mary because she reached out to me on LinkedIn recently. I had a little chat with her, which actually reminded me to follow up and do this. So, hey, Mary.
Yeah.
Thanks for driving everything over there.
So if I had to say that there's anybody that's an accountability partner, it would definitely be her, because she was in the industry years ago. Before she was an underwriter, she was a loan officer as well. And so she's joined my team. And so she has seen the value of Mortgage Coach even before most people within Hallmark would have seen it, because she was utilizing it, many moons ago. And so from that standpoint, she has definitely been a great resource for me. But it still falls on me to be the one that says, no, we have to keep moving forward with it. And so from our standpoint, we want to make sure all families are served with a total cost analysis. I don't think we're at 100% right now, but we're very, very close. And so in order for us to track our success, we're just trying to do at least a couple of TCAs a day. So if I'm doing a couple for new purchases or new client, if we can do a couple a day, we actually have a whiteboard, and we have all of our certain activities that we need to accomplish. And Mortgage Coach is one of those activities: tracking our leads, tracking our Mortgage Coach presentations, tracking face-to-faces, tracking other items that we do. That's something that we can control. So what are some things, what are activities as a team that we can control? And if it's on that board, if it's on something that when we have our huddle in the morning, if we talk about that, that's something that's going to hold us accountable as well. We have it written down, and we're seeing if we're doing it or not.
So you just brought up a great reminder. So I want to remind everybody who's watching this, if you're a branch manager and you're an enterprise client of ours, we have a branch manager's mobile scorecard. So you can log in at everybody in your branch, how many TCAs they're doing, daily, weekly, monthly. So we provide that as an option. And then Todd Bushman, the founder of the Win by Noon planner, actually part of his trackables are annual reviews and total cost analysis. So I am hearing that is a theme. So let's kind of net this out. For anyone who's watching this and you want to create the Mortgage Coach standard, whether you have a team or whether you're an individual LO, it's pretty simple. It's, depending on who you talk to, it's 2 to 5 hours of time. Somewhere in the 10-ish total cost analysis, it actually becomes faster and easier than what you're doing today. If you listen to the John Downs interview, he would tell you it's 10 to 15 minutes faster. So imagine every single time you quote a rate, you get a pre-approved buyer, you could be saving 10 to 15 minutes. All you have to do is create this new habit, do it 10 times, and the results start coming. So get really clear on time blocking, the time to learn. Do recommend that you have an accountability partner, whether it's your assistant, whether it's your professional coach, whether it's your branch manager. I think it helps to have some type of public accountability. Also, if you come to our Friday calls, we'll be your accountability partner for you. Every Friday at 9 o'clock, you want an accountability partner? Just let us know in our Facebook group, our mastermind Facebook group. So Jonathan, last thoughts, the results that you get. I mean, we always make the promise in the sales process that you're going to get at least a 20% increase in conversion, and you're going to get more referrals from both realtors, past customers, and annual reviews. So if someone's closing 5 loans a month, 6 loans a month, if someone's closing 10 loans a month, 2 extra loans, do you feel like it's a 20% advantage in terms of the type of performance, whether it's you or let's just say a solo loan officer that's not closing 10 loans a month, they're closing five-ish. What are your thoughts on the results that someone would get from Mortgage Coach?
I would think a 20% increase would be a reasonable increase. Now, for our team, we've had some pretty stellar numbers when it comes to how many units we're actually closing. And so we have always historically had very good numbers. And so from our standpoint, my goal was to not necessarily increase how many units I'm closing. I always want to increase how many units I'm closing. What my goal has been is to make sure that my reputation within the marketplace is one where the agents that I'm currently working with feel that much better about referring their clients to me, and the ones that they are referring to me are converting much easier than before. And so I would say for those of you who are newer in the industry or you don't have a team, this is by far going to set you apart from anything else. For me, I've always implemented communication. I've always implemented, speed. I've always implemented the right things within our team. And so from us, it was like, what can we do to take our team to another level? And so we've done that with Mortgage Coach. Now, I think next year is where I'm going to be able to really track if I've seen an increase in our business. Right now, we're seeing a steady flow of business, but my feedback that I'm receiving from everybody is that the experience, like I said, that buyer experience is just a notch above anybody else. And so to agree with you, yes, I totally think that, especially if you're kind of plateauing at your 5 units a month or so, there should be no reason why you couldn't easily get to double digits. You should be able to close 10 units a month. And I believe Mortgage Coach would be your differentiator, no doubt about it.
Beautiful. Well, hey, I hugely appreciate this. If you're watching this and you got value from it, you're watching it on YouTube, give us a like. If you're watching it from Facebook, like it and share it with your friends. If you are a branch manager, make sure that your mobile scorecard is working. If you have support questions, you can always email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. Also, we have online chat. So whether you're in the Mortgage Coach platform, look in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a chat button, or in our support page. Also, remember, watch a Mortgage Coach video once a week. We have the best loan officers on the planet use Mortgage Coach. We interview them. We bring their best practices to you. Once a week, watch a Mortgage Coach video, and you will see your production increase, your passion for the business improve, and the quality of what you deliver to the marketplace will improve. Jonathan, appreciate your time, brother, and thanks for being a shining example within Hallmark,
yes,
and obviously a shining example within South Bend, Indiana. Hopefully I'll see you again when I'm out there.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. We'll see you.
Take care, brother.